Welcome to another episode of the GanjaActivist.com podcast series. In this episode, we speak with Grace Hyde, the Director of Commercial and Production Operations at District Cannabis in Washington, D.C. We discuss the state of affairs in the regulated cannabis market in D.C. and the conflict between the regulated and illicit market, with unregulated cannabis businesses be permitted to distribute cannabis through untaxed gifting, a situation that has seen the closure of many licensees. We discuss the issues and some potential solutions. So please tell me a little bit about yourself, and tell me what is the conundrum that we're facing in Maryland. They just went adult use last year, or even early, wasn't it? Very quite recently, I think it was.
Maryland went adult use July 1st, 2023.
Right.
The issues that we're facing in the district, we do not face at all in Maryland.
Okay.
Two totally different worlds, even though they're right next to each other.
Right. Okay. All right. Right on. All right. Fair enough.
So I am the Director of Operations for our DC facilities for District Cannabis. We've been open for about 7 years at this point. We are vertically integrated. We just opened retail this past spring, and we have been doing cultivation and manufacturing since the beginning. So the real issues that are going on right now in the district, for a long time, the city has looked the other way on these stores. They call themselves gifting stores. So the city, or the people, passed Initiative 71 in 2014, I believe it was, which allowed home grow and possession of cannabis and the ability to gift to a friend as long as you aren't collecting any money. And shortly after that passage, Congress passed a rider that prevented the district from having its own adult use program, because Congress, they can't get what they want in their own state. They like to try and control the district for some reason.
Okay. Is that what happens? All right.
They shut it down in DC, and we have not been able to get the rider lifted since then. So
because at DC there is adult use. I mean, it is technically legal, isn't it?
So personal possession is legal.
They say personal possession and home grow, but you can't.
The city is not allowed to spend any tax dollars implementing a regulated and taxed system.
Wow.
So there's no legal adult use stores, but
right.
You're allowed to grow it yourself and
right on. Okay, and gift technically, right. And then you have the I-71
home grow. You have to grow it yourself if you're going to be gifting it to someone, which is a technicality that is overlooked in these gifting stores, where there's not $600 million a year of home grow cannabis district.
That's all I need. Trust me, man. Yeah,
six
that's my house.
maximum in your house.
Really big house. Yeah.
They're getting really high yields.
Right. So the issue, so the I-70 stores, so they are there. I mean, as Hollywood actually equating a lot to New York. So it is technically, it is cannabis. It's not even like, it's not hemp products and these hemp extracts.
Which hemp is not legal in the district either, because the Farm Bill legalized hemp nationwide, but state by state, the state had to adopt it for it to become legal in the state. And the district never adopted the Farm Bill. So no CBD store is legal in the district.
Okay. Do they exist though? They
sure do, but they're not legally allowed to be there. And there's an Attorney General opinion on our regulator's website that very clearly states that CBD is cannabis and only can be sold by regulated medical cannabis companies. So these gifting stores have flourished over the last decade, by using this loophole. They've gotten more and more bold as time has gone on. Lots of them have done away even with the pretense of gifting, and it's just cannabis. They're not bothering with the sticker or the t-shirt anymore. And so our medical market has been small and limited for a long time. We did better during the pandemic, and then since last year, things have really started to contract as Maryland went adult use, and also just as the gifting shops have gotten more bold, and we're really struggling. 5 businesses have closed in the last year. So that's, obviously.
And this is out of how many? Because it's not like there was a huge amount of licenses this year.
Right. I think it was out of 18 total licenses, we've lost 5, and 3 of which being cultivation, which is very concerning because we need to have enough supply to bring in all the new licensees. So, up until recently, there haven't been additional licenses available for anybody to get anyways. But now that they've opened that up, we expected to see more gifting shops convert than are actually making a meaningful effort to do so. Obviously, having to buy your product within the district, pay 280E taxes, and do all the things that you have to do to be a regulated business, I don't think is going to be appealing to a lot of establishments. So I think that they're just trying to run out the clock and then convert to a delivery service or something like that. But
so where does this put the licensed operators? I mean, especially someone like District Cannabis, because as you said, you're a vertically operated operation. But you could sell that you do distribute to other dispensaries and so on, correct? Not under your own umbrella, right?
Yep.
Okay, right.
So we sell to all of the dispensaries. Our dispensary is not performing nearly as well as we hoped it would. Okay. There's an I-71 operating out of an apartment building directly across the street from us. There's a number of delivery services that have registered their location we're right by Union Market, which is a very popular part of town. There are a number of delivery services that have their Google address registered. They're not physically there, but their Google address is registered there. Right. So when somebody searches dispensary near me, they're the first one. It's been much slower start than we were expecting. And a lot of people who walk in the front door, they come in, they find out that they have to do this registration process, and then they leave because it's much easier to shop at a gifting store where you don't have to do anything.
So how much contention is there between the licensees and the gifting stores? Because I'm sure a lot of the gifting stores are going to argue, oh, we're like legacy, and it's because of there's all the 280, all the regulations. Why should we go to that when we just want to give people access to cannabis? How is that relationship going?
I mean, I would say the contention is more with the city for having allowed this. People are going to do what they're allowed to do, right? The city has looked the other way for close to a decade on this problem. Right. So I think, our gripes are more so with the city than with the gifting shops. There also weren't licenses available for them to get up until earlier this year. So they couldn't have got into the industry even if they wanted to. I think now that it's been made it's the easiest licensing process than you can imagine. So it's very easy for them to come into the legal market, and many of them are not making the effort. So I don't feel badly that enforcement has begun and they're closing the stores that haven't bothered to try and convert, because it's a very, very simple process for them to do so now. And many of them just are electing not to. But, up until now, that wasn't an option for them. So I don't, there was a void that needed to be filled, and
it was filled. They found a way to fill it.
Making more licenses available, and Congress has tied our hands behind our back. But at this point, there's really no excuse for not joining the legal market. They're also, the most concerning thing is that they're finding amphetamines in the products that they're seizing from these stores. Of the 5 stores that have been closed, at 3 of those locations, they found amphetamines, contaminated in the product they're buying, which is scary. You have no idea what you're getting. I'm sure there are good stores out there, but you just have no idea if you're getting something that's contaminated or not. That's going to be
right. So the gifting shops, there's no regulations on them whatsoever, because they technically it's supposed to be like your home grow type of thing. It's not
right, but the product's coming from California, Oregon, Washington. Right. None of it's like you can't produce a product for 6 plants per person in Washington D.C.
All right.
Also, a lot of them brazenly advertise, this is California product. It's got the California warning label on the packaging. Like, it's part of their sales.
That's the drive and demand, basically. Hold on, man. It's got to be the good shit.
But there's no way to track. There's no testing. It's, it's completely unregulated.
Okay, so what does things look like on the horizon with rescheduling kind of coming up shortly? Like you were talking about in your district. Do you think that's going to make any difference? Any changes?
I mean,
so at least maybe driving people more to get into the industry, the I-71 stores, or what do you think what impact do you think that might have?
I think the only thing that's going to drive I-71 stores to getting into the industry is the threat of their store getting padlocked and all their product getting seized. I don't think much is going to entice them. I think they're going to be either forced into the industry, or they're going to just convert to a delivery model and run that as long as they can. I don't think many of the stores have a real desire to actually get into the regulated industry.
So how does the delivery model work? I mean, because you should be delivering regulated products. I mean, shouldn't you, if you're a regulated distributor?
I mean, like an illegal delivery model.
Okay. Oh, but okay, they're just easily accessible. Just easily accessible, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you don't. All right. So I mean, so what's the fix to that? Because especially if the gifting entities are so heavily entrenched, is it just stricter enforcement?
Yeah. So enforcement finally started at the beginning of September. We had hoped to see this more like March, but it's the DC government. It moves very slowly. And so we've seen 5 closures so far. We really need to continue seeing like 2 or 3 per week for them to start making a dent. We've seen 5, there's estimated around 200 of these stores.
I was going to ask about how many.
There's quite a few to go. They also, if they start taking down some of the bigger stores, that's going to send more of a message. As far as the shops that they've closed have not been, huge players in the game. I think just a, continued effort to padlock the stores that are not making, meaningful efforts to come in. I mean, there are some that are kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and seeing the continued padlocking will hopefully get them 2 feet in.
What's the footprint like for licensed dispensaries in DC?
So real estate is challenging. There's more real estate for dispensaries than there are for like cultivators, manufacturers. That's definitely the hardest real estate to come by. But there's some real estate out there, and these people have locations. Some of their landlords know who they're renting to, some of them don't. So some of them may be able to stay in their current location. If I were to guess the number of dispensaries that we're going to land at total after all is said and done, I think it's probably like 35 or 40 maybe. So we're at 10 now. Tripling the number that we have would be great. But I think it's going to take us a while to get there. I think maybe by this point next year, they'll have gotten most of the stores closed. But there's also new stores opening up every day. That's how little.
If the incentive is there, people will. I guess that's crazy. What do you think? I'm just trying to think. Well, you say DC things are a bit different. Just because because DC. I'm trying to. What do you think? Are you familiar with Florida at all? With the market over there? Because I'm just trying to because right now I know the issue that a lot of people have with Amendment 3 is that it doesn't allow for home grow, and it initially basically the MMCs are going to be distributing the recreational, the adult use cannabis. What do you think of those regulations, and what do you think needs to be done the second that Amendment 3 is passed to avoid conundrums like you guys are facing, or to foster an appropriate transition to adult use? What would where have you seen faults that maybe Florida can avoid?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Florida. I don't think that there's any benefit in withholding home grow. No one's going to grow enough in their home that they're going to start some booming backdoor business. I do think that allowing the medical licensees to convert to adult use day one is hugely important for ensuring that the market is going to survive. Like you look what happened in New York, they pass adult use, and then there's this big lag in time. Like if there is to fill it, that was one of the things that Maryland did right, which was that day one of adult use, all the medical licensees were able to start selling. So it really just eliminates the ability for the illegal market to come in and flourish in that gap. And then, now we're getting new licensees coming online with adult use in Maryland, which is great. And there's more than enough demand to go around for new licensees. It's not like the medical licensees have some kind of, stronghold on the market. Like there's more than enough to go around. The market continues to grow month over month. So I think that's one of the best things that Florida could do, because if you leave that gap, somebody's going to come in and fill it. Eventually, when you get all the licensees online, both the medical people and any new licensees. So it's really important to have that immediate transition.
Right. What about social equity? How does that factor into DC? I think I've heard Maryland has a pretty good program. I haven't heard that any of them are that great, but I have heard good things coming out of Maryland. What about DC and the social equity, and maybe trying to, use that as a vehicle to get more licensees?
Yeah, so DC has a recently passed rule that at least 50% of all licenses in any category need to be social equity licenses. So that has dictated how many licenses they've given out this year. They did the social equity round first, and then depending on how many were approved in that round, they can open up that many in the standard licensing round. They are doing a grant program that they are issuing the grants now, I believe. I don't think as many people applied as they were expecting, so the grants are actually going to be a bit larger than they were anticipating given out. So great, it's like particularly for cultivators, it's such an expensive undertaking to open up a cultivation business because you're just hemorrhaging cash for close to 2 years before you can make any money on it.
So I hear it.
I'm happy to hear that they're doing that for cultivation. DC already had a pretty good mix of social equity versus non-social equity licenses even before this. So, we've got a diverse group of license holders. Maryland's social equity program has been, I think, a little bit more challenging to get off the ground. The regulations for social equity, they always sound so great on paper, and then in practice, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, you can only have so much money as a social equity applicant, but you also have to own at least 51% of the license. So how are you supposed to go out and raise money without giving away equity in your company, but you also can't spend money because you're not allowed to have the money.
And they can't give up that much equity because they need to have the equity to have the social
exactly.
Equity.
So it's like, you're not going to be able to, to get people to invest in your company if you're not giving away equity, but you can't because you need to own it. It's
a little bit of a catch.
No state is
catch 20, catch 33 or catch 44 thereabouts. That's it. That's kind of giving the full gamut. Okay.
Exactly. Nobody's gotten it right yet. I mean, I think Maryland has made some great improvements on other states, but I don't think anybody's gotten it totally right yet.
What about with the because you're with the Cannabis Association? So what's your role in getting it right?
Yeah, so we are a new association that just started this summer. So we weren't really part of legislation that is enacted today. That was from 2022. But we are fully licensed operators, as well as people who are placarded, which is kind of like their stage 2. So they have a location identified. They've been opened up for public comment in their neighborhood, and they're working towards final approval to get open. So we're, a small group. Mostly it's like information sharing. We're doing some advocating to city council and to our regulatory board, but we're, it's a lot of owner operated businesses in DC, so not a lot of funding for lobbyists and things like that. So pretty small.
That's kind of how I think people really wanted it to be, quite frankly, to be honest. No, that's that's interesting. So what about hemp? I mean, there's obviously a presence of these intoxicating hemp products, Delta 8, Delta 10, and so on. And there's a consumer market for that, but there are of course issues with stepping on the toe with cannabis. But of course, if things are regulated properly, if maybe hemp is distributed through dispensaries, everybody gets a fair take. Where is the hemp industry? Do they want to get access? I mean, what's happening with creating a proper cannabinoid industry? I should say that in DC.
I mean, there is no outdoor space to grow hemp in the district. So as far as hemp production, it doesn't really exist in the district at all. There's a pretty decent sized hemp lobby in Maryland fighting for their right to sell these intoxicating products that are completely unregulated, potentially dangerous for children, not in compliant packaging, all these rules that we have to follow, they don't have to follow. So in my opinion, the Farm Bill left a huge loophole, and especially now even moving into THCA, it's that's what we sell in the dispensary. It's the same thing. Congress really needs to close the loophole on these extra products. If they were only allowed to be sold in a regulated dispensary, I think that would, be a huge improvement. There are a lot of regulations that we have to follow just in testing and manufacturing that I would like to see applied to hemp producers if they are going to be selling them in a regulated dispensary. But I think it's nationwide. It's kind of a huge issue right now. Like you see all of these brands on the West Coast, every single one of them now has their own hemp line. They're selling it.
They're jumping on board.
They're advertising it on Instagram. They can do all regular advertising, and that we're not allowed to do. We get shut down if we try to do that. So it's just a big cash grab right now, I think, until the loophole gets closed.
But then I mean, they are getting restricted. There are a lot of bans coming, and I think I was just reading, I can't remember where this was, that they're allowing gummies, but no smokable flower or anything like that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just half a dozen of one and two. Whatever that expression is.
Anyways.
Well, I'm curious as well, because I mean, I wouldn't be that customer, but I mean, if there is, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to say, the customer shouldn't get what they want. If that's what they want, that's their prerogative. That's fine.
Right. But the gummies are the more dangerous product. I mean, they're shipping nationwide in bright, colorful packages. It's not childproof. Any kid could open this package up and get into it. Like the gummies
often do, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which what in fact has created much of the issues, because when they say that the amount of emergency room reports, that's where they get all these all their facts from, and it's always kids who are who found Cheezos or whatever they're called, and they're laced with THC or Delta 8 or something, and it's probably more freaks them out than makes them really sick, but it's just not a good thing. Right on. Okay. No. Just throwing it in there because there's a big hemp. In fact, we've started a little campaign. I'm trying to get hemp to vote alongside Amendment 3 in Florida, because they're trying to go against them in Florida, because nobody likes the fact that Truly invested something like $60 million into the amendment, and they have such a huge footprint in the state. And it's like, I mean, in my opinion, look, that's capitalism. Just deal with it. But they're naysayers, and that's haters gonna hate.
They're always gonna hate on an MSO.
Always, it's inevitable. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it's even worse that there's a woman at the helm to beat some of the guys. Like, even more, there's a little bit more animosity there, I suspect, which gives me a desire to give them more support. That's okay. I like the underdog. Well, technically not, but is a woman. So yeah. Anyway, you get it. Great. Is there anything? Sorry, tell me. Are you familiar with international markets like the Caribbean, Jamaica? Anything? Have you been? Are you familiar with their industry at all?
I am actually not super familiar with the international markets at all. I've been very entrenched in our.
No, I can imagine.
Little DC ecosystem.
No, it's quite interesting what's happening. Each state is very, very different. DC, as you say, it has its own nuances and whatnot. So which states do you think? I mean, you said that no one really has gotten social equity right. What about regulations? Is there a state that has a model that you think the other states should be following? I mean, you did say that with Florida, just very quickly get adult use, get it into the existing system. But what would you recommend would be the easiest and the most appropriate and effective way to implement a regulated cannabis industry across the U.S.?
I mean, I think Maryland has done a very good job with a lot of aspects of transitioning to adult use. The tax rate, for example, a lot of states come out with a really high tax rate because they're so excited about all the money that they can make from it. And then, high tax rates are another thing that keep people shopping on the illegal market. If it's, like you go to shop in California and it's like 30% taxes, like the ticket price that you're looking at versus what when you actually get up to the register, like the price difference is huge. So Maryland, at first they were thinking about kind of like stepping up the taxes, like maybe the first year is 6 and then 9 and then 12 and ended on just a flat 9%, which I think is great. And, it's enough that the state makes some good money off of it, but it's not so high that people are, changing what they're going to purchase. There's no like county by county taxes that are allowed to happen. Like you can see in some other states where certain counties are like really predatory to businesses. And we transitioned regulators in Maryland we had just a medical cannabis commission, and now it's the MCA, which is cannabis, alcohol, tobacco.
Okay.
I think it's all 4. So they're business friendly. They've been great to work with. We're not trying to create excessive regulation just for the sake of having it.
Right on.
It's something we've seen in other states before. So they just want to help us, do good business, keep people safe.
No, excellent.
All right. Build a good industry. So I think Maryland has done a really good job, and I think they did a better job with social equity than a lot of other states. It's just it's a hard thing to get right. So they'll keep improving.
We're sorry.
Hopefully they'll keep improving.
Right on. Well, it takes I think people discussing what the issues are and getting them out there really and making appropriate suggestions. A lot of people kind of tend to want to bash the government, bash this and bash the MSOs and this and that without really saying, well, look, if we can maybe if you try this, let's do this. This will be be a bit more feasible for everybody.
And our regulators in DC are really flexible. Yeah, so it's ABCO, which is the alcoholic beverages and cannabis. And they're also very business friendly. They are willing to be really creative and helping figure out how to make this industry work, especially in the handcuffs Congress. So like our medical program, is, you can self-certify, so you don't need to visit a doctor. Submit it online. You get your card in less than 5 minutes. If you're a district resident, it's free for 6 years. So you get a 6-year card, less than 5 minutes of work, and $0 if you're a district resident. So they've made it very, very easy to join the program, which is not something that we've seen in a lot of other
anywhere else. Definitely not. Yeah.
So they're they're really flexible. They want to make it work. They've been working with zoning to try and open up zoning, so it's easier to find real estate for
right on. So they're treating it like they effectively have done with tobacco and alcohol, and just kind of make it a regulated CPG industry that could flourish. Okay, which is kind of what we've been asking for a very long time, I think. To be completely honest. So someone is getting it right. Okay, that's good to know. Last quick question. Well, not last, but what about? Could you also mention the counties? I know that even in California, where people believe that cannabis is so ridiculously prevalent, there are actually little pockets, districts, and counties where you cannot sell. Is it like that in DC, or is it too small? I mean, or how accepted is cannabis across the district?
So in the district, it's not there. So there's wards within the district, which are kind of like counties in other states. And so each licensee has to go through, it's called ANC approval, or Advisory Neighborhood Commission approval. So your ANC is like very small. There's like there's bigger ANCs, and then there's like these like small subsections that you get approved by. So it's like your location and like a few surrounding streets, basically. So the ANC can't necessarily like stop you from getting open, but they can make your life really miserable. You don't want you to be like Georgetown, they've been somewhat more opposed, especially since there's been a huge population of unregistered or unlicensed illegal stores over there, which those don't go through ANC approval. It's only if you're getting a real license that you go through ANC approval. So like on one hand, had all of these illegal businesses popping up, and on the other hand, they also just don't want that many cannabis businesses. Some places like Georgetown have been a little bit more tricky. We were very lucky. Our ANC was really welcoming of us. There's a lot of alcohol, like distilleries and bars and stuff near us. So it's kind of more of an adult type part of town.
Right on. Okay, so
and so you have to go through your ANC approval. They can control some things like that. You have to work with them on like your hours of operation, what kind of signage you might have, things like that. I'm concerned about the neighborhood, and for the most part, like if you're a good operator and you take the time to work with your ANC and act in good faith working with them, it really shouldn't be an issue. And there's no kind of like special tax or anything like that can be imposed on you.
All right. Okay.
Other than the tax of just having to go through the DC Department of Buildings process, its own beast.
Right. As long as they're friendly. I mean, as long as they're friendly, want to be accommodating. That obviously helps. This has been enlightening. I was unaware of all of these conundrums.
I think that's the most interesting thing about DC. It's like even Congress and like the staff, like the Congress staffers, they shop at these stores and they have no idea that they're illegal. Like nobody knows that they're illegal. It's like this huge, well-kept secret. And they put signs on front that say we're blah 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 compliant, so people feel comfortable walking in and shopping. And like the whole country has no idea that this crazy thing is happening, just in broad daylight in Washington D.C.
In Washington D.C. of all places, like the most protected area of the United States.
Wild.
Yeah, it's also very diverse. So I guess you have to accommodate that diversity as well. No, this has been a really, really, really interesting, cool conversation. I'd love to follow up, because we are doing sometime next year. We're going to be hopefully starting the production of a documentary, the Legacy Project, which is it's just kind of dissecting and decimating many of the facets of the failures of the war on drugs. And social equity plays into it, but also, of course, just regulations and dealing with just trying to create a proper viable industry, and all these encumbrances that people are facing as you face much like again it's there's the unregulated and the regulated industry that are clashing for many, unfortunately, obvious reasons. A reason that could probably be solved, but they're obvious reasons. If you're going to tax people high, and then others not, certain things are going to happen. But it's very, very interesting hearing about it. And I will, so I'll follow up with you on this, because I wouldn't mind, maybe, because we do plan to visit DC as well. So I'll keep you posted on that. And what we do with this, I'll let you know. We're probably going to do something with a podcast, and definitely within the magazine that we're talking about things that are happening in developing Florida. We have to give them their precautionary measures as well. Cautionary tales of what has happened elsewhere, and some recommendations for what you can see post November 5th, I think. Yeah, 6th. Last intention. Yeah, so thanks a lot. Is there anything else you wanted to add, and any of the comments?
Billy, did I forget anything? He's good at remembering for me.
No, I think you covered all the bases, Grace. Thank you. And Amari, thank you so much for expressing an interest and accommodating the call today. And I'll reach out to you further about Niambi. I'm going to see her in Jamaica in a few weeks. Plant a bug in her ear. And oh yeah, I should mention this. It's a bit off topic, but the two key artists, kind of the more marquee artists that are going to be headlining the festival are Shaggy and Sizzla.
Really? Okay. Now you can help with some marketing. Well, I will. That's publicly known yet? Is it? I haven't checked the website in a couple of days.
Yeah, apparently she told me yesterday it was on Instagram, and I don't use social media, so I didn't know until she texted me. But I guess it's cool. All right. It's out there in the universe, and she reached out to Stephen Marley recently too, and he, I guess, is on the fence. He has some sort of scheduling issue he's trying to work through, but he might be kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah, definitely. I thought you said Stephen, right?
Stephen, yeah, but Shaggy and Sizzler are huge.
Okay, no, absolutely, no. Because for a second, my brain tripped into David because I said no, but the ideal person would actually be Stephen. No, you're absolutely correct. He is the he's a carrier of the roots torch. You know what I mean? For certain, he's definitely be the ideal person. I'd love to see it. I'd love to be there. We're still trying to get there. Again, there's C-Lab in on the still trying to get into there. If that works, we'll be able to make our way to Jamaica. But if not, there will be it'll be just kind of we'll see. Hey, anything can happen. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds great. Hey, Grace, I should note that Amari is in Trinidad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, at the moment. Yeah, Trinidad. Yeah. In Trinidad, there's not much of an industry here. They've decriminalized, but they haven't set up a regulatory body, so there's just nothing happening. Yeah.
Well, hopefully soon.
I wouldn't hold my breath, unfortunately. I thought things would have. I thought there would have been quite a bit of excitement. It's weird too because even the government relies on like Christmas Day, the day before Christmas, is saying, "Oh, this is the gift, your Christmas gift to the country," and and then it's like nothing. It's like what? Dude? Okay, it seemed to think it was important for a second there, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. But we'll see what's up. But William, if you're gonna be in Jamaica, when are you landing in you're going for the whole week, right? You're going up so you're gonna be up there from the beginning of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for a full week for most of the events, but I also have some kind of nonprofit work that's close to my heart that I plan to devote some energy to for a couple of days as well.
Right on, I guess. Okay, right on. All right, cool. Well, if we do get there, it'll be for the weekend, the final weekend in the grill. We'll see. Fingers still crossed.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, great to meet you, Grace. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.